He's a quiet assassin.
He struck him out.
What a collision.
That ball is absolutely scorched. Clayton Kershaw been dialed in all night. 2-2 series. We are heading to Game 5. For the Dodgers and the Mets, it has come down to this one game at Dodger Stadium with a spot in the NLCS riding on it. The 2015 National League Division Series coverage on TBS is presented by T-Mobile. This best of five, tied up at 2 games apiece. We got the Mets and the Dodgers on TBS. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dodger Stadium. I'm Ernie Johnson, along with Cal Ripken and Ron Darling. Well, the Chicago Cubs are waiting in the wings. But here tonight, you got the Game 1 winner, Jacob Degrom, and the Game 2 winner, Zack Greinke, head-to-head in Game 5.
Boy, there's been some great pitching in this series. Zack Greinke was unbelievable in Game 2. Just 2 solo home runs he gave up. He had one of the finest seasons ever in Dodger franchise history. 19 wins, only lost 3 times, ERA 1.66. But the Mets are going to have to lay off that breaking ball if they're going to have any effectiveness against Greinke tonight. And on the other side, Jacob Degrom was unbelievable in Game 1. 13 strikeouts, and for the offense of the Dodgers, they're going to have to lay off that high fastball or they're going to have the same result.
That does it for the arms. Let's talk about the bats. And in this series, Cal, there have been 60 hits. There have been 89 strikeouts so far. Give me a guy on each side who could be the difference maker offensively.
Oh, okay, I got a couple. How about Daniel Murphy from the New York Mets? This guy's hit a couple of home runs off of Clayton Kershaw. Here's the first one, a real quick big ball that gave them a quick early lead. And here's the second one right here. Now, he swung the bat pretty good against Greinke in his start as well. But I think the key part about where he sits in the order, he could drive in a key run. He could hit a home run, but he could set the table for Cespedes. On the other side, Adrian Gonzalez, he's got some big hits, including this big double that got them a win, put him in the lead. Here's a home run against Cologne. But against Degrom handled him pretty easy. Now, he hits Degrom pretty good, but he struck him out 3 times. There's going to be an adjustment there. Can Degrom pitch him as good as he did in the first time? I think he has a chance to get a big hit.
The Chicago Cubs have their bags packed. They just don't know where they're going to fly on Friday morning, L.A. or New York. We're all going to find that answer out later tonight, right here on TBS. First pitch, right around the bend. beautiful Thursday evening at Chavez Ravine. And we got ourselves a Game 5 in the National League Division Series between the Dodgers and the Mets. The Dodgers have taken the field 74 degrees. It was a partly cloudy day. A beautiful evening for Game 5. Tonight's batting order presented by T-Mobile. Curtis Granderson once again in the leadoff spot for the Mets, followed by David Wright, then Daniel Murphy. Yoenis Cespedes in the cleanup spot. Lucas Duda hits in the 5th spot, then Travis d'Arnaud. Michael Conforto, who homered here off of Greinke in Game 2. Wilmer Flores is the shortstop, and Jacob Degrom does the pitching for the Mets.
Well, I gave you all the stats in the open. Zach Greinke is really an artist with the baseball, able to paint for his 7+ innings of work. But I'm going to give you this stat. As a Dodger, here at Chavez Ravine, he's 30-5.
Yeah, setting the defense for you behind Zach Greinke. Here he is on the hill, pitching Yasmani Grandal behind the plate. Go around the infield. Up the middle, Corey Seager and Howie Kendrick. A little banged up Justin Turner made a great play at third base, and you got Adrian Gonzalez over there with his 4 gold gloves. Moving to the outfield, Jock Peterson out in center field, with Kike Henderson and Andre Ethier out in right field.
There's Curtis Granderson stepping to the plate to lead things off in decisive Game 5. That's the first one of these winner-take-all games for the Dodgers since '88. Mets went through one in 2006.
Both these starters lead the world in great hair, don't they?
I can't comment on that.
Yeah, I'll take the 5th on that one, too. Here's the first pitch. And it's a strike to Granderson. Gary Cederstrom is the home plate umpire. Greinke gave up a couple of long balls in that Game 2 to Cespedes and Conforto, but yielded nothing else to these New York Mets.
It's almost like as soon as he gave up those 2 solo shots, he said that's it, and he turned the tap off. That power changeup has really been the equalizer for him against left-handed hitters.
Granderson hitting .429 in the series, 6 out of 14.
For you folks at home, Gary Cederstrom, one of the best umpires in the league. He is one of those umpires, though, that's real conservative. He's not going to go off the strike zone, give you anything off the plate.
The 1-2. Tapped past Greinke. That's going to be a tough play, and he's able to make it. Justin Turner, the third baseman, over there in the shift, getting the speedy Granderson for the first out.
Well, upon first look, it looked like it might have been a tie. They're deciding whether they want to go with the instant replay here. It looks like Granderson beats it on the slow motion replay.
They will put the headsets on, and right away a challenge here in Game 5.
Think about it. That's twice now that's happened with Granderson and Justin Turner as the main players. Turner tried to use his glove the last time to shovel at the first base, and he was called out, but was then called safe by the first base umpire, Greg Gibson. This time, he comes in and with the scoop tries to use his arm to get it there a little quicker.
Well, he gets his footwork set so he can catch it and throw at the same time. Gets it over there much quicker. But with the shift, and Greinke dove for that ball because he knew that was in that no man's land where the first baseman, Adrian Gonzalez, can't go for it. He's the only one that can cover first base. And Turner made a valid effort.
I wonder if Greinke, because he's such a great athlete, if he tipped that ball and slowed it down a little bit to make it an even tougher play on Justin Turner. He's safe at first.
Chad Fairchild made the call at first. Terry Collins with the challenge. And it is reversed, and so Granderson is aboard.
I always try to look at the runner. Sometimes you can trust him knowing whether he beat it or not. And Granderson was pretty sure he beat that.
And that brings up David Wright. Wright's only got one hit in the series. It was a biggie in the opener. Knocked in 2 runs as the Mets took game 1. He's 1 for 12 as he stands in against Greinke and swings and misses 0-1.
Interesting, Terry Collins before the game talking about Wright said he's been really too much in pull mode in this series against Greinke. Most of the pitches are going to be middle of plate away. He should go that way.
Twice in game 2, Greinke coaxed double play balls out of David Wright.
And sometimes you get all riled up and you want to swing the bat and you want to hit a home run, and the first thing that comes off is that front shoulder. Cannot do that with Zach Greinke. That little cutter and the control of the outside corner are too great.
Greinke ahead 0-2 as he was against Granderson, the leadoff hitter. Wright, the Mets captain. One of 2 players in the series, Andre Ethier the other, who played in that 2006 series. And Ethier the starting right fielder tonight for Don Mattingly. No balls and 2 strikes. And Wright goes down swinging for out number 1.
Here's that cutter slider. It's got a little spin to it. Again, if you pull the front side off of it, you can't reach out that far. You really got to dive in, keep the front shoulder in. Just a perfect 0-2 pitch.
We always talk about pitchers having control in the strike zone. We never talk about those guys who have control outside of the strike zone. Greinke's the best.
Now, Cal, you talked about the guy at the plate now as we came on the air today as a potential difference maker for the Mets in this one against Greinke. It's Daniel Murphy.
He's just looked good to me. Standing up there, taking pitches away. Seems like he's locked in. Hit a couple of home runs. It's very difficult to hit a home run off of Kershaw if you're left-handed, and he's got 2.
And he's not a home run hitter. Only had 14 this year, even though that was a career high.
Granderson with a lead at first. The 1-0. Murphy lays off again. 2 balls and no strikes.
And I also was talking about setting the table. Pulling the ball through that hole will send Granderson to third.
Our Chevrolet pitch tracks on Zach Greinke.
Usually against Greinke, if you're a left-handed hitter, you will not get a fastball 2-0. He likes to throw the breaking ball or the changeup.
To left center field, pretty well hit. Jock Peterson goes back. That's off the wall. Granderson is around third. He's going to score easily. And all the way into third comes Daniel Murphy, and the Mets are on the board here in the first. They're loving that at McFadden's in New York. They're going to give him a triple, though it sure looked like a double and a boot out there that allowed Murphy to go from second to third.
It's almost isn't fair facing Cespedes and having the infield come in.
And Cal, to your point, so here's an instance where Murphy not only knocked in a run, now he set up Cespedes to drive in another. Big cut, came up empty, 0-1.
Good hustle all the way around. Granderson read it really well, got a good jump. He was going to score easy from first base. Daniel Murphy kept running, keeping his eye on the ball. And when Hernandez couldn't come up with it, he just kept on going to third. Murphy. I do agree, double and an error.
Murphy's 4th RBI of the series and puts the Mets on top early. 0-2 to the Mets cleanup hitter.
And it was a hard changeup up out over the plate. Murphy drove it to the left center field gap, and here it is. Up, missed it once, missed it twice, and this allowed Murphy to turn that double into a triple and put himself in scoring position for Cespedes.
The 0-2. Big strikeout for Zach Greinke. Second out of the inning.
Boy, he did not even fool around with Cespedes. 2 fastballs away and then a fastball up and in. If there's an Achilles heel for Cespedes, that is the pitch.
Well, that's the book. Greinke knows when he needs a strikeout right here. He knows exactly where to go on Cespedes. It is up in the strike zone with 95. Really good low ball hitter. You can't quite catch up to that one.
Here's Lucas Duda. 2 for 15, 9 strikeouts in this series. We got a runner at third and 1 out, and Cespedes at the plate. You figure sacrifice fly very much in the equation there, but Greinke able to sit him down. And so Murphy's still out there with 2 away.
Well, that's what Greinke does. He minimizes any of these potential innings. He's given up 1. Looks like there was potentially 2 out there. And he's got himself in a position to get out with only 1.
Dodgers with that shift. Sorry about that, Ron, but you got Howie Kendrick well into right field in the shift. 3 Dodgers on the right side.
Mets in this series. 400 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position.
Two balls, 1 strike to the Mets first baseman. And here it comes. 3-1.
I wouldn't say that this is a pitch around, but it really seems to me that it doesn't matter. Lucas Duda is such a behemoth in the box that sometimes you just don't want to go after him if you get behind him. So you can pitch around him if you have to. Darno, the right-hander, on deck.
You're pretty much guaranteed a split here or a power change.
3 balls and 2 strikes.
I call it a split because it acts like a split.
Yeah.
And it's more about power changeup, 91 miles an hour. The changeup off the fastball normally is about 10 miles an hour. With Zach, it's only about 4 or 5.
Greinke trying to limit the damage here in the first. Mets have a run in. And Murphy at third. Here it comes. And Duda strikes out for the 10th time in this series. The Mets strand a runner at third, but they score one in the first off Greinke. Dodgers batting order is presented by T-Mobile. Howie Kendrick leads it off. Corey Seager in the 2-hole. Then Adrian Gonzalez. Justin Turner having a great series. Hits cleanup. Then it's Ethier, Grandal, Kike Hernandez, the left fielder, Jock Peterson in center, and Zach Greinke doing the pitching and batting ninth. Jacob Degrom on the mound for New York. And there's a strike to Kendrick.
This young man has a flair for the dramatic. Rookie of the year last year in the All-Star game this year. 3 punch-outs on 10 pitches and 13 punch-outs in the first game.
You know, Terry Collins told us after game 1 that, you know, a couple innings in, he had to kind of get DeGrom to settle down. Do you think, having done that now, having pitched as that's line to Duda for the first out, having been there, been in this ballpark, now pitched in a playoff game, will it be the same kind of feel for him tonight?
I think that he'll have a little more wrap around his emotions. But remember, this is a winner-take-all game. It still is going to produce a lot of adrenaline. And it really helps when you hit the ball in the nose right at your fielder.
Well, what about getting a 1-run lead for him, too, coming
Big
out?
time.
Here's Corey Seager. Seager, the 21-year-old, came up in September with an immediate impact. He's 2 for 12 in this series and has struck out 5 times. He had a hit off DeGrom in the opener. It was a ground rule double right along the line in left field, a ball that Michael Kadire had some trouble with out there. With Mets pitching has pretty much held Seager in check. He goes the other way, base hit left. Conforto hustles it in. And Corey Seager, nice piece of hitting. Aboard with 1 down here in the bottom of the first.
Well, 2 batters and 2 rockets off the bat. Lucky enough, one is a now. This is a fastball up over the plate. Seager stays on top of it and rifles it to left field.
That's 2 fastballs that have been hit right on the nose so far early.
Here's Adrian Gonzalez. First time he faced him in this series, it was took the hat trick against DeGrom. He struck out 3 times before delivering off Baez out of the bullpen.
I think you're going to start to see the use of some of his secondary pitches. This is a 1-0, 97 mile-an-hour fastball. He had a great pass at it right there. More than likely see a changeup or a breaking ball here. Didn't really start using his changeup probably to the 3rd inning last time around because he got over the adrenaline phase where he was just pumping fastballs.
The 1-1.
One of the most intelligent hitters around. 2-1 count. Think DeGrom will counter with a changeup here?
I haven't seen him throw one yet, but he has been known to throw them in the 2-1, 3-2 counts.
Had a notion, laid off. 3-1.
Told you before, Gary Cedars from behind the plate. He's not going to give you anything, just slightly off the plate. You got to catch that corner.
So pretty sure this is going to be a fastball. After seeing all the sequence up to this point, just missed on the outside. Shook to a 3.
Well hit to right field. Seager around second. He's going to be at third. They're at the corners with 1 down.
And this is a 3-1 hanging slider, so it makes it just a mediocre fastball. 91 down the middle. He sends it down the right field. Granderson makes a good job of going over, cutting it off, and holding Adrian to a single.
The toughest part sometimes is when you face the team in rapid succession like Degrom and Greinke are doing. Sometimes you double think and say to yourself, boy, I was throwing the fastball by him in the first game. I'm going to have to try to trick him in the second game. He tried to trick him, and it hurt him.
But if you wanted to trick him, I still think the changeup is a better pitch than the breaking ball coming into a left-hander.
Here's Justin Turner, who was 2 for 3 off Degrom in the opener. Turner 7 for 15 in the series. He's knocked in 3 runs. Got the tying run 90 feet away. Adrian Gonzalez is asking for noise as he leads off first.
Turner guessing fastball. He got the slider from Degrom.
Turner in this series, and I wouldn't have guessed it, hits by zone. All 7 hits have been up in the strike zone, either hanging, breaking pitches, or the high fastball.
Grounded just foul past third.
Yeah, 3 on the inside part and 4 up and away. I can remember a couple balls driven to right center field. He's quick on the fastball, but also hangs in there too on the breaking ball.
Degrom with the 1-2. That's into right field. That's going to get down for a base hit. And this game is tied.
The first pitch, or the first hit that's not up in the strike zone. A breaking ball that stays down. Turner goes down and gets it and shoots it to right field to drive in a run.
As opposed to the first game when Degrom just came out firing bullets and threw it right by the Dodgers. He's trying to trick him here in this first inning. Maybe he doesn't like his fastball, but he's paying for it so far.
Dodgers again first and third with the game tied now, and here's Andre Ethier. There's a strike 0-1. Turner at first, now hitting an even .500 for the series. He's 8 for 16.
Ethier doesn't have a lot to show for it, but he's taken some of the best at-bats for the Dodgers in this entire series. Change-up grip. Degrom behind his back.
A little blooper. Flores can't get there. Gonzalez trots home. It is 2-1.
Sometimes it's where you hit it, not how hard you hit it. The first 4 balls off it have been hit really, really hard. That one wasn't, but still has the same result on your scoreboard.
Clayton Kershaw, who kept the Dodgers afloat in Game 4. Digging it.
You know, it's interesting about here with all the infielders huddled around the pitcher. Worthen shouting instructions because of the noise here at Chavez Ravine. It's almost like a group effort. Hey, we got your back. You can get out of this inning.
We hardly saw Dan Worthen in Game 1. But a first inning visit here with Degrom.
Yeah, talking to Terry Collins, I asked him, did you go over hypotheticals going into this game, what you might do? This hypothetical, I'm sure, hasn't crossed his mind.
Yasmani Grandal at the plate. He's 5 for his last 92. He bats with runners at first and second and 1 down. Nowhere close. 1-0.
He's 1 for 23 with runners in scoring position. That one hit came in game 2.
He has a couple of runs batted in. And he's got 2 Dodgers out there with 1 out. Grandal is bothered by a left shoulder injury, which doesn't affect him defensively, but he does feel it at the plate. Probably going to have surgery in the offseason.
Probably one of the biggest reasons for all those numbers that we've been giving you. Grandal usually an excellent hitter.
Sails outside again, 2 balls and a strike.
Cal, all we saw were blazing fastballs from Degrom in the first 3 innings. Just the opposite here in the first.
That's the first changeup that I've seen. We've seen a slow curveball, 84 miles an hour, if you call that slow. That's the first changeup he's broke out. His fastball command is just not there, nor is the same velocity as in the first game.
Count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Degrom gave up 5 hits in 7 innings of work in game 1. He's given up 4 straight hits here in the bottom half of the first.
You know, it's interesting. Mattingly said that too. Look, we could be getting used to velocity because that's what they have. They bring velocity at us. And the second time around, the velocity, the shortness of the swing, it does help the hitters a little bit.
He's run the count full, 3-2.
Ernie reminds me a little of game 3 when Harvey gave up 3 runs and the Mets came right back and scored 4. Well, the same for the Dodgers here. Quick answer.
So Greinke minimized in his inning. Can Degrom do it right here?
And Grandal strikes out for out number 2. So Degrom wins that battle at 98 miles an hour.
Here's some of that velocity that we saw in game 1. A little hop, a little jump on this 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Can't quite catch up to it.
And here's the left fielder, Kike Hernandez. This will be pitch number 25 from Jacob Degrom here in the bottom half of the first. Line drive foul.
Well, like most good pitchers, we showed you the graphic before. Degrom only allowed 59 runs all season long, but 16 came in the first inning, 2 here tonight.
Terry Collins Mets scoring in the top half. Dodgers answering to this point with 2 in the bottom. The guys with the RBIs, Turner and Ethier, are your base runners. Here's the pitch. Tried to hold up, could not. 0-2.
He pulled a hanging slider foul, I believe, down the line, and he comes back with a good slider right there at 91. Can't lay off of it.
At 97, strike 3 to Hernandez. But the Dodgers have an answer. They score 2 in the bottom of the first in game 5. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Top half of the second. Action-packed start to this one. Game 5 between the Mets and the Dodgers. Mets score 1 in the first. Dodgers answer with 2 on 4 straight hits off Degrom in the bottom half. Travis d'Arnaud is 3 for 16 in the series, with a homer and 3 runs batted in.
Couple of good swings. Looks like a good approach. He looked like he was staying on it to go to right center.
Little deceptive in those numbers, though, because all of those hits came in one ball game for d'Arnaud. That was the ball game not started by a Kershaw or a Greinke.
That's the one outlier in this series, was that 13-7 game. Everything else been tough and tight. Couple of 3-1 finals. Runs at a premium, hits at a premium, strikeouts galore. And great starting pitching by and large for both sides. Greinke strikes out d'Arnaud here in the second. Sam Ryan on the field again tonight. Sammy, how are you?
I'm great, Ernie. Well, Justin Turner made with the first RBI for the Dodgers in this one. He's at third base now. You mentioned earlier he's playing a little banged up. He has a bum knee. This is something he suffered earlier in the season, but aggravated it Tuesday in Game 4, making a diving stop in the 7th inning. He told me that the day off yesterday was very beneficial to him. He was able to ice it most of the day and rested. He said it's a deep bone bruise, so there's not much you can do. Just play through it, guys.
All right, thank you, Sam.
No sympathy by number 8 up here, by the way.
Exactly. Well, Turner, in fact, would even say, look, it's still attached. I'm good.
There was never a doubt he was going to be in the lineup.
Michael Conforto watches that one outside. It's a ball and a strike. He's one of the guys who took Greinke deep in Game 2. Just a line drive that dented the foul pole and right.
It was a fastball inside. It'll be interesting to see if Conforto gets any of those fastballs again.
That's it to right. Ethier over, and Ethier makes a sliding catch. Knocks in a run in the bottom half of the first.
Here's one of those fastballs. He did get inside. Didn't get all of it, but hit it pretty good down the line. And Ethier covers a lot of ground here. Gives up his body on the warning track to make a catch. Nice play.
Putting a blue star in the scorebook next to that one. So is Kike Hernandez. Now this place buzzing. Here's Wilmer Flores. Flores is 3 out of 8 against Greinke. You rattled off a lot of impressive numbers about Zach Greinke, and what was it, 30-5 in this ballpark?
Yes. As
a Dodger, 19-0 when he's given a lead this season. He leads 2-1.
Well, because of the power that Flores has shown all year, Greinke being very careful with Flores, who's in the 8th spot in front of the pitcher, Degrom.
Three balls and a strike. Flores, of course, starting the last 2 games of this series after what happened here in Game 2 and the Chase Utley situation with Ruben Tejada, who suffered a broken leg and near collision. Flores follows it back to the screen and the count full. You wondered with the early start time out here, 5 o'clock in Los Angeles, if that would affect the early crowd. Strikeout number 5 for Zach Greinke. We're in the middle of the second. ALCS starts on Friday night on Fox. Blue Jays and Royals. FS1's got Game 2 on Saturday afternoon. We've got Game 1 of the NLCS Saturday night. Cubs will be either here at Dodger Stadium or at Citi Field. Jock Peterson leads it off. Takes a ball from Jacob Degrom. Peterson had that electric first half of the season with the 20 home runs, cooled off in the second half.
Made the All-Star team. We asked Don Mattingly, why is he in the lineup? He goes, better defense, and he can run into one occasionally.
Carl Crawford started the first 3 games, struggled at the plate. Did not play Game 4, is not in the lineup in Game 5. Peterson waits on a 2-1. Guys, with the ALCS starting on Friday night. Have you seen anything like that 7th inning?
No.
In Toronto yesterday. Oh my goodness.
Almost an hour long.
3-2 to Peterson.
Started with a bat tick, ended with a bat flip.
And in between, 3 boots.
You guys are speaking another language to me right now.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Here it comes. And Peterson walks to lead off the bottom of the second. Hey, we've got our StatCast powered by Amazon Web Services tracking Andre Ethier with that sliding catch in the top half of the inning.
I like that stat on the first step. That means he got a great read, took a great route. Only way he could have caught that baseball.
First walk issued by Degrom, who walked only one in 7 innings of work in the opener. Here's Greinke already squaring to bunt and try to get Peterson to second. Lays it down. Duda thought about it and then thought better of it. Sacrifice accomplished. 3-4.
Jock Peterson got a heck of a jump right there. Good secondary. He goes right away. I thought there was a play at second possibly, but once you look up, nope. Take the sure out at first base.
That was a good decision by Duda, and like you said, Peterson does not get a good jump. That's an out at second base. Good decision.
Top of the Dodger order now, and Howie Kendrick, who lined to first his first time. On the ground to short. Flores throws high, and he's safe. Duda had to come off the bag to flag it down. Peterson stayed at second.
Well, these are a lot of the plays that Wilmer Flores made in the first half of the season. Going into the hole, he's always had a hard time making that accurate throw. When he first started, first couple of games after Tejada was injured, he looked very good in the hole. That's what you saw in the first half if you're a Mets fan.
Yeah, he rushed that throw a little bit because Kendrick's speed. You saw Kendrick touch the front part of the bag with some fancy footwork.
So a walk, a sacrifice, and an E6 has him at first and second with one out. Corey Seager singled his first time, took the ball the other way, and he scored the first Dodger run. Seager came up in September, played under 30 games. 4 homers, 17 runs batted in, and pretty much muscled his way into Don Mattingly's lineup with some slick defense, and of course a .337 average in that month.
All these great pitchers, Kershaw, Greinke, and the young arms of the Mets, it's all predicated off fastball command. So far, Degrom does not have it.
Peterson at second, Kendrick at first. And the 2-0 to Seager. 3 balls and no strikes. Adrian Gonzalez waiting on deck. Foul back, 3-1, swinging.
Is that even allowed under the rules to be that young and swing 3-0?
I was just wondering, there's no way in the world they're going to get him 3-0 here. He's going to take a pitch. He was going for everything.
You see Noah Syndergaard up. He was the game 2 starter. 3-2.
Boy, it's interesting that that would be his first choice with men on base. You would think you'd want a more traditional reliever, a guy who knows how to come in with people on base. Not a guy who's only started in the professional ranks.
He looks like he's getting ready like a starter. Relievers want to jump up there and start throwing one after the other. Looks like he's pacing himself and getting ready. So maybe he's not intended for this inning per se, but you might need him.
Terry Collins has seen Jacob Degrom throw 41 pitches. And we're only in the bottom half of the second. He strikes out Seager for out number 2.
What a changeup. What a pitch right there.
Number 23, Adrian Gonzalez.
See the release coming out of his fingers. Entire hand on that ball, and turns that ball over and takes about 10 miles an hour off.
That's what he had success with. That's what he had control with, along with the fastball in game number 1. That's an effective pitch for him to find, a complement to that fastball.
Here's Adrian Gonzalez, who singled and scored in the first. And in this series, with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, he's 3 for 5.
The theme of Gonzalez and the rest of the Dodgers in that first game against Degrom was swing and miss. Tonight is swing and barely miss. They're on that fastball much better.
The 0-1. And he jumps out ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Well, this would be huge for Degrom to get out of this with no damage.
Gonzalez lets the ball get deep and is comfortable hitting the ball left center field, a fastball, especially a guy that throws hard. But in RBI situations, he seems to make a point to try to cover that fastball to left center field, which puts him on time for the off-speed pitches.
And he has tremendous pop that way also.
Pulled the string on Agon. And back-to-back strikeouts to end the second. Still a 2-1 game as we head to the third. '15 National League Division Series coverage on TBS is presented by T-Mobile. Dodger Stadium here in Los Angeles on a beautiful Thursday evening for Game 5. And Jacob Degrom will lead it off against Zach Greinke.
Well, nice matchup here with Greinke against Degrom. It's almost like he's facing his counterpart. They're both the same kind of pitcher. Very effective, great athletes, great fielders, and also can hit.
Degrom had 11 hits and 59 at-bats in the regular season. Was 0 for 2 with a strikeout when he pitched game 1. Ran it inside. 0-2.
When that pitch tracks, it looks like you don't have to throw it over the plate. Ball outside on the first swing, he chases it, and it comes way inside. He gets a swing on that as well. If you're going to cover that plate, that's a pretty wide plate.
Well, even Degrom with the open stance, he likes the ball the middle of the plate away. He doesn't like the ball in. There's the stance.
Curtis Granderson and the top of the Mets order on deck.
Greinke's not pitching to him like he's a pitcher.
The 2-2. Degrom knocked in 4 runs. Did not homer this season. But you think he's hitterish, Cal?
Yeah, he looks hitterish. Takes a good swing. He expanded the strike zone on the first 2 strikes, but now he's kind of got back looking for a good pitch to hit.
Well, Degrom working Greinke here into a 3-2 count.
Think fastball, Ronnie? You think he's going to go?
You got to challenge him. Fastball away.
On the ground to second. Howie Kendrick gobbles it up. 1 down. 6-man umpiring crew in this playoff game, and we've got Gary Cederstrom behind the plate, Chad Fairchild at first, Alan Porter at second, and Jim Wolf at third. Greg Gibson making the calls down the left field line, and Chris Guccione on the right field line. Now here's Granderson, who hit a slow roller towards second his first time. Justin Turner, who's over there in the shift, charged and tried to get him. Tough play. He was originally called out. Terry Collins challenged it. It was reversed.
Let's see where Turner's playing now. He's playing on the grass. He's moved in 2 or 3 steps to try to take that play away. I personally wouldn't do that. That's just a lucky play. You hit the ball off the end of the bat. You want to be back. Give yourself enough opportunity to catch something in case Curtis hits it on the nose.
A ball and a strike. Here it comes. On the ground to first. Gonzalez with the flip to Greinke. 2 up and 2 down. Official caps, hoodies, jackets, and more. Celebrate with your favorite team at the MLB.com shop.
You know they have stats for everything.
Do they ever?
But if you're playing a shift, I wonder what the stats are to try to defend against the full swing bunt. Because that's what you're really saying in the last one. And Granderson does not pull it with him very often. So it's a rarity for him to smother a ball to get it over there. So I wouldn't set my defense to try to defend against that play.
David Wright struck out his first time and takes a strike 0-1.
This playoff series, you get off to a slow start, it just seems like you can't recover.
Yeah, he's 1 for 13 now.
I guess it's just like the regular season, Cal. You can't think about getting 3 hits in a game. You just got to get a hit in this at bat.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Your best approach is right now, pitch by pitch. Don't worry about what's happened.
2-1.
When it clicks, it clicks. So you work on something in the cage, you try to find something, apply it out here on the field. And once it starts to go right, sometimes it's a bleeder, sometimes it's a blooper, sometimes it's a line out to someone. Then you know it feels good. Then you try to stick with that.
Three straight sliders away and comes back in with a fastball to counter at 2-1. Nice pitching by Greinke.
If you're David Wright, you don't worry about that one. That's a tough one to hit. That's not the one you want to hit. It's good to take that pitch. Going back away again.
Well, nice try by Grandal, who tried to frame that ball in full Cedarstrom. Didn't work.
Tried to push it back to the outside corner, didn't he? He's good at receiving or presenting the ball to the umpire.
Payoff pitch. Strikeout number 6 for Zach Greinke. 1-2-3 for the second straight frame. Let's take a look at tonight's Playmakers presented by Chrysler. Well, the Cubs are watching this one as they get the winner. And among the Playmakers, look at Kyle Schwarber, Dexter Fowler, Jorge Soler, Javier Baez. Baez, you'll see a lot of him in the upcoming National League Championship Series with the injury to Addison Russell. He's out.
But that's how that Cubs team is going. Russell goes down, Baez comes in. He only goes 4 for 5.
How rare is it you see 4 Cubs on a graphic of Playmakers this year, and Chris Bryant's not there, or Anthony Rizzo. Justin Turner leading off here in the third, and that's a double off of Degrom.
Well, the Mets had Turner for all those seasons, but they must not have kept a book on him while he was playing for him, because he is wearing them out.
And just another double. It's either a near double or it is a double. He's swinging the bat exceptionally well. Hitting the ball all across the field. Right field line, left field line, both gaps.
He is 9 for 17 in the series. And here's Ethier, who knocked in a run his first time.
Situational hitting, Cal. Walk us through this at bat.
Yeah, I was just thinking, some philosophies are different. I'm trying to sit up here and figure out. I was watching Ron Renneke. Sometimes you'll get an indication from the third base coach on what they want you to do. Either drive him in, try to drive him in, or take a shot at pulling the ball. Against 97, 98 on the outside edge, it's going to be a little hard. But a productive out or situational hitting, pull the ball to the right side, move Turner from second to third, put him in scoring position with less than 2 out.
It's almost like you're doing Ethier a favor if you throw him a changeup. Something easier to pull.
Turner with the lead at second. Here comes the 1-1. Just a squibber over there to Ron Renneke. 1-2. So the Dodgers have already matched their hit total from game 1 against Degrom with 5. 4 of those came consecutively in the first, when the Dodgers scored twice to erase a 1-0 Mets lead. Here comes the 1-2. Slapped into left. And Conforto makes the play. 1 down.
That was good pitching by Degrom. He just kept the ball away, popped it in one time. That's when you saw that little squibbler towards Renneke. One time in, then went back away. There was nothing that Ethier could do except hit the ball to left field.
Here's the catcher, Yasmani Grandal. Struck out his first time. He bats now with a runner at second and 1 down. And he takes the low and away 1-0.
You can see that motion by Degrom. He kind of put his arm out like, get out in front on that slider.
He's got 4 pitches: fastball, curveball, slider, and change. The slider, he was overthrowing it, kind of a mediocre fastball down the middle.
He's got all arms and legs come at you, long arm action. And usually when you have that arm action, if you're off with your breaking pitches, it's tough to get it back right away. Takes a few pitches.
5 hits in his last 93 ABs, and there goes the runner to third. There's the throw, and how about Justin Turner? That's heads up. Swipes third with 1 out.
Justin Turner was asked, does he take any pleasure in getting these hits against the Mets? Great lead. He said he doesn't. I think he does.
He took a walking lead, and many times the pitchers will fall into a pattern of looking once and then turning back around. He started running when Degrom turned his head back to home plate, got an excellent jump and stole third.
Mets bring the infield in. 3 balls and no strikes to Grandal, who takes a strike, 3-1. Kike Hernandez waiting on deck.
Sometimes they work a contact play where they take a chance on running on contact, get a good lead, get a good jump. It doesn't look like he's positioned. He's reading the ball and making sure it goes through right now.
Ball 4 to Grandal. They're at first and third. Degrom has been in trouble since the jump tonight. Terry Collins on his way to the mound.
Well, I think this is one case, guys, where Collins not only coming out to speak to Degrom, but also coming out with Kike Hernandez coming up with first and third play with one out. That safety squeeze play that we've seen Joe Madden use for the Chicago Cubs, where they scored 2 times in a game, is on here for the Dodgers. It definitely could be used.
Cubs scored on back-to-back at bats with that.
Boy, that's something you usually don't see at this time of the year. That was directly Ethier against the manager Mattingly.
My guess would it be about not trying to get him over? That's the only thing I could think of. But maybe a comment was made and he reacted negatively to it.
At this time in Game 5, you got to kind of suck it up, because you don't want any negativity on the bench for you or your teammates.
1 ball, no strikes to Hernandez. Runners lead from first and third, and he waves at it 1-1. What do you suppose that was?
I'm sure it was that. I'm sure at some point, he probably went up and said, Andre, you got to try to get him over there. And Andre didn't like it. He said, you go try to hit 97. Only problem is his manager at the same age probably could do it.
Right back to Degrom. He's going to go to second for 1, to first. Double play. Degrom gets out of a first and third situation. Throws a strike to second. Starts the double play. And it's still a 2-1 game. Hey, baseball fans, follow the postseason right from your phone with Team Stream by Bleacher Report. Get the latest MLB news, scores, and highlights all in the palm of your hand. Download Team Stream on the App Store or Google Play today. Top of the 4th. Greinke to Daniel Murphy, swinging at the first pitch, and a single to right. Murphy is 2 out of 2. The official score did change the scoring on that play in the first inning. Instead of a triple, it's a double and an error on Kike Hernandez. Moments ago, Sam Ryan spoke with Dodgers manager Don Mattingly.
Don, Jacob throwing a lot of pitches in this one. What do you like about the approach at the plate?
Well, he didn't seem quite as powerful today as the last time out. We've stayed with him. We've put guys in position. It'd been nice to have cashed in a few more. Aside from those 2 hits in the first inning, what do you see from Zach? Zach seems sharp to me. He looks like he's locating the ball pretty well. The misses are barely missing. He's using his fastball. He looks good right now. Thanks a lot, Don.
Here's Yoenis Cespedes. Ball and no strikes. So, Iron Man, your pregame look at Daniel Murphy, spot on. It's 2 out of 2. Has knocked in the only Mets run.
Gonzalez has a hit too.
Cespedes, who struck out his first time, waves at that, a ball and a strike.
Cespedes' swing really seems like there's only one gear, 5th gear.
You heard Don Mattingly talk about, wish we had gotten more out of it. They've had 9 at-bats with runners in scoring position in the first 3 innings. Only those 2 runs to show for it. Still a 1-run game here as we play in the 4th. Shallow left center. Peterson on, makes the catch, and throws back to first, but a hair late. Peterson's got great speed in center field and tracked that one down.
Well, that's why Mattingly put him in the lineup. He said he wanted to put better defense in the outfield. And what a play.
I thought I read his lips and said I didn't see it at first, because it looked like he hesitated at first, went up the air, and then he really turned on the burners. And then had ideas for a double play.
That brings Lucas Duda to the plate, and Lucas has a record now that he wants no part of. 10 strikeouts, an NLDS record. He's 2 for 16 with those 10 Ks.
Shift is on again. This time Turner playing in the hole between first baseman Gonzalez and second baseman Kendrick. He's Mr. Everyman on that diamond.
Well, he has played second base, so he could take the pivot if he needs to, but you want your regular guys doing that.
Might be the only third baseman in divisional play that has played more on the right side of the diamond than the left side of the diamond.
Murphy, who singled to lead off the inning, leads at first, and Duda on a swing and a miss.
And his uniform's dirty, not because he's diving on defense, because he's stealing third base and he's on the bases all the time.
On a bad knee.
Duda, who hit 27 home runs and knocked in 73 runs in the regular season, trying to break out here in this series against the Dodgers, and takes down low 2-1. Missed inside. They asked for help. Jim Wolf down there at third says he did not go, and the count's 3-1.
A nice high leg kick. He doesn't go. Ball's inside. That high leg kick, there's a timing on when to put that down. When he's putting it down in the right time, he's right on time, and he's streaky. When he's not, he's not.
Down low, and Duda's going to check again with Cedarstrom. Make sure that is ball 4. They're at first and second.
You know, here's an interesting stat.
And look at Murphy taking third.
That's because of the shift. No one got over the third base. Everyone on the right side, no one guarding third base, and Murphy takes advantage of it.
How about this?
So it's a walk. Now he takes it. He takes a look at who's there.
And you see the third baseman is Justin Turner, who's still on the right side. Nobody over there to cover. Heads up by Murphy.
Murphy, the wildest of Mets base runners, makes it work.
That's a big play. Surprised Greinke a little bit too, because Greinke's very speedy. If he'd have saw him early enough, he had a shot at him.
Goes in the books as a stolen base. One of the few guys who can go first to third on a walk.
Well, for all you analytics guys with the shift, everything went tilt right here. Grandal or the pitcher Greinke has to cover third base.
I don't think that just happens by chance. I think he's been thinking about it. He's been watching it. And if that opportunity came up, he was going to do just what he did.
Travis d'Arnaud swings and fouls it away.
Big stolen base to get to third with less than 2 out.
What a division series postseason we've seen. First to third on a walk.
d'Arnaud struck out his first time. One of 6 that Greinke's fanned. In the air to right. Ethier over by the line. He makes the catch. Murphy will tag. And we are tied. And it's all because of Murphy and the heads-up base running.
That is manufacturing a run. Not in the conventional way.
Well, that's just falling asleep at the wheel if you're the Dodgers. Watch Tim Tuffle, the third base coach, walk over, kicks the bag a little bit, rubs the dirt, and by the time he looks up, Murphy's on his way. Surprised even the third base coach.
Here's Michael Conforto.
That could have all been part of the deke, though. He could have been playing into it. This could have been playing this for weeks. Just kidding, by the way.
Conforto flied to right his first time. Ethier made a sliding catch. And of course he homered off Greinke in game 2.
You got to be looking for this power changeup. Maybe bring it up in the zone a little bit.
That play has confused the crowd and taken some of the steam out of this crowd here.
Conforto, whose mom was an Olympic athlete, synchronized swimming. His dad a linebacker at Penn State. And he's 2-2 against Greinke here in the 4th.
Well, he threw a fastball away by Conforto. Conforto's got tremendous power to left field, though, if he goes with that pitch again.
Back to the overhand curveball. There's a lot of shaking off going on right there. Fastball away, change up, fastball in, slider away, slider in. Change the pitch, fastball away.
On the ground. That'll be an easy play, and that'll do it for the Mets in the 4th. But they steal one to tie the game at 2. Follow every pitch of the postseason with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Stay connected with highlights, replay reviews, scores, pitch tracking, live radio broadcasts, and more. Download the At Bat app today. Jock Peterson leads it off in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Jacob Degrom has pitched in trouble in every frame. He's thrown 60 pitches, but he finds himself in a tie game, 2-2.
He helped himself a lot on that 1-6-3 double play. Didn't hesitate with the guy on third base. He was strike to second. Got out of the inning.
The 0-2.
Mets with the shift, giving Peterson the bunt, but the ball too far inside.
They're very rare on 2 strikes. You square around early enough. That's when they go back and play you way back in the grass. There's an opportunity, but if you foul off that bunt, you strike out.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Peterson walked to lead off the second, and he waits on a 2-2 here. And the count full.
Peterson doesn't hold back. Tremendous bat speed. This could be fastball against a fastball hitter.
Peterson works in for a walk to lead off the 4th. And we were talking about that heads-up play that Murphy made. Our camera's catching this before, as Duda was coming to the plate. Howie Kendrick telling Greinke, you're going to have to cover third.
That's a hard call, though. You come in as the second baseman, you tell your pitcher 5-6 pitches later, he's walked the hitter. You're thinking about the hitter. You're not thinking about covering third base. That should have been the shortstop. Seager should have sprinted over as soon as the walk was called.
Now, that wasn't for the walk.
Yeah.
That was for in case of stolen base. Because then you have covering second base. And then the ball coming down, no one's covering third. So that was a hedge against the stolen base.
Greinke gets the runner over moments ago. Sam Ryan spoke with Mets manager Terry Collins.
Terry, we saw Noah warming up in the bullpen. How short is the leash on Jacob?
Well, he's really struggling with his command, and so you can't fall too far behind with Greinke on the mound. So we got Noah ready to go, and hopefully that we can get through this next inning, and we don't have to go to anybody else. But in this kind of a game, you got to be ready for anything.
You talked about scratching out runs against Greinke. What can you say about that heads-up play by Daniel?
Well, it's a tremendous play. Dan's a heads-up base runner. He's always looking to take an extra base, and there he got the opportunity.
Thanks, Terry.
Howie Kendrick takes a strike. It's 0-1.
It's interesting, Ronnie, when you talk about the communication on who should cover what. When they first started doing the extreme shifts, you would get a situation like a stolen base. All of a sudden, he's safe at second base, and no one's covering third. All I have to do is beat the guy over to third base. So I think that was the communication in that sort of sense. And remember, if we got a stolen base here, you got to do this. On a walk, I don't think they've had to deal with it.
In the postseason, also known as the Johnny Damon play.
In the air to center field. Plenty of room for Cespedes. Peterson will tag. Cespedes has a gun, and it's just a hair late. That was a great deke by David Wright at third. Just standing there basically with his hands at his sides, ready to apply the tag.
Well, the deke right here is to kind of get him, lull him into a false sense of security that he doesn't have to slide. So slow down and stand up as if there's not a play there. Then you can catch the ball and tag.
That was interesting. David Wright at some point where Peterson lost his balance, almost gave a little nudge to try to get him off that bag.
So Peterson at third with 2 down for Corey Seager. Singled and scored in the first, struck out in the second. Seager waiting on an 0-1.
Talk about stress innings every single inning. Degrom has got to get himself out of trouble.
He was fooled there, and it's 1-2.
So, the deke won't work here as long as you have the third base coach that's telling you what to do. See Ron Renneke saying, get down, get down. That's who you need to be looking at if you're coming in the third, not David Wright.
Peterson down the line at third. 2-2. Seager scored a run in the first, looking for his first RBI of the series. Count is 2-2, and we await the 75th pitch by Jacob Degrom here in the bottom half of the fourth.
Boy, Seager with 2 strikes seemed naturally like he can go the other way.
That's good hitting here. A 2-2 changeup, he barely fouls off, and then a 97-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside edge. He fouls off as well to keep himself alive.
And Seager fooled for strike 3. Another threat by the Dodgers, but again it goes by the boards. 2-2 heading to the 5th. Wilmer Flores takes a strike as we move to the 5th. 2-2 game. Game 5. Winner gets the Cubs in the National League Championship Series. No balls and 2 strikes.
Couldn't place those 2 pitches better than Greinke just threw those.
Greinke has 6 strikeouts.
What impeccable control, huh? Two four-seamers on the outside edge, and then entices you with a slider just a little bit off.
Pretty good percentage right there.
Yeah, pretty good. He puts you away when he gets ahead of you. Just too many weapons.
Eight, 9, and 1 due for the Mets here in the 5th. Who scored first in this game, and watch the Dodgers score 2 of their own in the 1st. And then heads up base running by Daniel Murphy, going from 1st to 3rd on a walk to Lucas Duda as the Dodgers fell asleep at the switch, and he would score on a sacrifice fly.
And that's where the power is for Wilmer Flores. He likes the ball middle of the plate in, and he had a better swing at that ball than he did on the pitches away.
So you should go right back out away again. That's part of reading what happens in each pitch. Going back out, fastball in the outside corner.
Strikeout number 7 for Greinke. You know, Ronnie, we've talked about this winner-take-all scenario here, and for the Mets, the last one was 2006 as they lost to the Cardinals in the National League Championship Series, and 1988 was the last one for the Dodgers, and it was against your Mets. And look, I'm not trying to open up old wounds. I know it was a tough thing.
No.
But that's when the last one was for the Dodgers. Strike 1 to Degrom.
Well, the last one for the Mets on the road, too. And it was one of those games where I always swear it's the only game I ever did before or after that game. Orel Hershiser was so hot. He went 60 innings down the stretch without giving up a run. That before the game I said to myself, you know what, not on my watch. Orel's not going to have that kind of game. Well, it didn't work for me. I got knocked out in the 2nd inning. Orel pitched a 5-hit shutout. He was outstanding. That's not staying in the moment. You're trying to think about other things than just the hitter that's at the plate.
Look at that broken bat. A little blooper to 3rd, and the barrel of the bat went into shallow right.
That's getting in someone's kitchen right there.
Deep inside kitchen.
That's Saxey to lead off the ball game. Well, that was even later in the game. Made a couple of errors early, but it didn't matter. Orel was fantastic that series. He was fantastic in the postseason. And that game still haunts me to this day.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ronnie, I know it's, and we've talked about it off the air before, but appreciate you discussing it here in this setting when you're in a winner-take-all setting between the Dodgers and the Mets.
Watch out what you wish for, right? We all want to have that putt in the U.S. Open. We all want to shoot that basket. We all want to pitch in a winner-take-all. Sometimes it doesn't work out for you.
Granderson pops it up. And an easy play in shallow left for Hernandez. And a 1-2-3 inning for Zach Greinke. All tied up, middle of the 5th. Our Associate Director Billy Proctor has it circled on the calendar every year. It's Chevy Truck Month. Time to make a strong decision like choosing a Chevy Silverado. Chevrolet, proud to be the official vehicle of Major League Baseball. Bottom half of the fifth. The winner moves on. Adrian Gonzalez leads it off against Jacob Degrom and takes a strike 0-1. Gonzalez singled and scored in the first when the Dodgers got on the board with 2. He struck out in the second.
Interesting watching Degrom, Cal. That ball down has a little more life. He has not found that pitch upstairs with the fastball for the strikeout yet.
Good angle coming down from someone that tall throwing a fastball down. Got a little extra hop to it. It's tough to catch up to.
There it is.
He blows away Gonzalez to start the fifth.
2 low fastballs and then, okay, I'll go upstairs.
What has Jeff Bannister told us from Texas? This game has a cruel sense of humor. The Dodgers have had 10 at-bats with runners in scoring position. 11 at-bats, with runners in scoring position. They've only produced 2 runs. They've had their chances against Degrom, and that at-bat right there was the best series of pitches by Degrom all night long.
Here's Turner, who's 2 for 2 with a single and a double and a stolen base.
He's battled through the early innings, made some pitches to get out of trouble. Now he's even. Still in pretty good position to go this inning, 1 more, and if it goes really fast, maybe he can get into the 7th.
Missed outside, a ball and a strike. Yeah, the Dodgers have certainly had their chances. Degrom has not had a 1-2-3 inning. To left center field. Will it stay? No, it's going to get past. Conforto and left. Thought for a second that ball was going to stay up. And it went past Conforto and all the way to the wall.
So he decides to go fastball in. Turner gets it, but he doesn't get all of it. And I'm not sure if he lost the ball in the lights. Here it is.
Yes, he did lose it in the lights just for a second, or was trying to decide, should he lay back or should he come and catch it? He decided on being aggressive, and it cost him.
From the first angle, it seemed like he was tracking it, and then he hesitated for a minute, which might be one of those plays that you lose at that angle in the lights.
Well, Turner's out there at second with 1 away. Here's Ethier. Ethier knocked in a run his first time and then flagged to left in the third.
I'll tell you, the intensity has to be ratcheted up. 6 doubles, which is the division series record for Justin Turner after that argument with Mattingly on the bench.
Well, of course, this isn't the same situation. You got a guy on second with 1 out. You're not going to try to move the runner. You're going to try to drive him in. And we're still guessing whether that was what the argument was all about.
Dodgers 0 for their last 9 with runners in scoring position. Turner's out there for Ethier. And Degrom is going to look him back.
Well, the biggest thing Degrom can do is just vary his looks. Don't get into a pattern where you look once, look back to home plate, hesitate, then go home.
Well, when he stole third base before, Flores had put the daylight or pickoff play on, and they have Turner.
Stayed outside, 2-1.
Many times if you're playing behind him, you start to see and get a sense he's timing the pitcher. And if the noise is so loud, you can't get his attention.
Huge lead by Turner.
He stole third after his double in the third. Flores behind him. Breaking pitch, strike called, 2-2.
With first base open, had the luxury of trying to throw a curveball on a 2-1 count. Got it over, got a second strike.
Degrom again bluffing Turner back.
And even if you don't think he's going to steal, the bluff works because it gets the base runner a little closer. It gives your outfielders a chance at a play at home if there's a base hit.
86 pitches for Degrom as we play here in the bottom of the fifth. Fouled off at the plate, just did stay alive.
I really like that curveball, especially to the lefties from Degrom, because it's a change of speed and a big break. That slider that we saw in the first inning is not so much a change of speed and a smaller break, and when it stays over the plate to a lefty, as we saw in Gonzalez, they can put a charge into it.
You saw Noah Syndergaard loosening in the Mets pen. He was the Game 2 starter here in Los Angeles. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Popped up. Flores calling. 2 down.
So Noah Syndergaard has gone from a starter who's never relieved to a guy now that has gotten up for the second time.
Well, if you are a starter and you're down there and you get hot, you get warm, can you start to simulate what it would be like to be in a game as a starter? Sit down a little bit, then get back up again?
Very difficult to do at 23 years old. But the power arm is intoxicating to a manager.
Yeah, but at 23, you never get sore or you're always loose.
Here's Yasmani Grandal. Struck out his first time. Walked in the third. Once again, the Dodgers with traffic against Degrom, but they've only been able to score 2 runs, both in the first.
"90 pitches now for Degrom, most of them from the stretch.
Look out, look out. Flores snuck in behind Turner.
You telling Turner, look out? You sound like the third base
look
coach.
Out, you may see something here.
Oh, I see. You weren't saying back. Get back.
Breaking pitch over. A ball and 2 strikes.
That's a good hammer right there.
Interesting that Grandal now has questioned a couple of calls from Cedarstrom. Usually don't see that from the opposing catcher. He wants his pitcher to get the same pitch.
Steer right 3 called. And Degrom again pitches out of trouble. 5 innings in the books in Game 5, all tied. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. They are zipping right along. Top half of the 6th in Game 5. All tied up at 2. David Wright leads it off against Zach Greinke and takes a strike 0-1. Wright has struck out in both trips.
At times, Greinke looks like it's a yo-yo. He's got it at the end of a string. His control is so precise.
In the air, into right. Ethier, right near the line, makes the play. 1 down. By my count, 7 strikeouts aside tonight, which puts us at 103 in the series with the 2 teams combined. And here's Daniel Murphy. Here's the guy that Cal spotlighted as a guy who could make a difference for the Mets in this decisive Game 5. All he's done is double in the first, knocking in a run. Singled in the 4th. And as Lucas Duda drew a walk, went from first to third as the Dodgers were in a shift and nobody covered third. And then he was able to score on a sacrifice fly to tie the game. 1 ball, no strikes.
He set it up nicely, too, by kind of just walking to second base. And as soon as he got near second base, that's when he turned it on.
That reminds me, my dad tried to teach me how to do that on a walk and try to steal second. And he used the technique being the same way. You run down there at a decent pace, but you run a little slow, and then you take a peek at where the middle infielders are. They turn their back on you, then take off. I was too chicken to ever try it.
I was going to say, did you ever pull it off?
No, I wasn't known for the stolen base.
See that once he took a peek and that Greinke wasn't going over there, he took the base easily. What a heads-up play by Murph.
2 balls, 1 strike. And that stays downstairs. 3-1. Yoenis Cespedes waiting on deck.
Murphy has not bitten on that changeup down. He's been able to make Greinke get the ball up in the strike zone. No one on base. Pitching from the stretch is Greinke right now.
Line foul. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Murphy batting with 1 out here in the 6th. Dramatic Game 5s in the American League on Wednesday, and a great one going here on Thursday night at Chavez Ravine.
It's almost like Greinke's giving him another look by pitching in the stretch.
The 3-2 is driven to right. That ball is gone. Daniel Murphy has broken the tie here in the 6th. It is 3-2 Mets. Silence to Chavez Ravine. It brings bedlam to McFadden's in New York, and a no-doubter.
In this series, every time Murphy's got a pitch to hit, he has not missed it.
He tried to come in with a fastball. Remember the first time up, he had to change up to left center field. So when the count went to 3-2 right there, he was going fastball in and didn't quite get it in.
I just found it amazing because he had 2 hits off Greinke that on a 3-2 count, Greinke decided to go out of the stretch just to give him a different look. It didn't work.
Murphy now with 3 home runs in the series. 2 off Kershaw, 1 off Greinke.
I don't think I've ever seen that, really. Going into the stretch just to give a different look.
Never seen it.
I've seen quick pitching and then going faster out of your windup, but just going into a stretch just to make it look a little different. He's back in the windup right now.
A strikeout and a flyout for Cespedes, and a dribbler up the line, foul.
Of course, if you're having control problems, I've seen that.
Yeah.
You know, you try to minimize the moving parts, go into the stretch.
But usually not within the at-bat.
But Greinke doesn't have any control problems.
Well, we're in Los Angeles. The free agent to be Murphy, what an audition.
Been with the Mets his entire career. Signed in the year they last made the postseason. And Cespedes goes down swinging. Let's get our StatCast numbers here on the solo homer by Daniel Murphy. The exit velocity of a shade over 107.
Just amazing. When you look at Murphy's career, he's not considered a home run hitter. Yes, he did hit his career high this year with 14, and he's been unconscious in this series.
Lucas Duda. 1-0. Struck out in the first, walked in the fourth.
Randall now talking to Cedarstrom about that first pitch to Duda.
Missed again, 2-0.
That whole play by Murph and going from first to third on the walk just changed the whole momentum of this game. It looked like Greinke was going to protect the lead, and Murphy changed that.
Put himself in position where a fly ball would score him, and Travis d'Arnaud did just that with the sacrifice fly. Murphy scored to tie it, and then broke the tie here in the sixth.
He's still feeling for the ball. 2-0, got a change up. He took it, and then a fastball up that he didn't quite get back to.
The 2-2 popped up, out of play, and we'll do it again.
Unlike Adrian Gonzalez, it's not like they've pitched Duda completely tough. He's had a half dozen pitches to hit. He has just missed them. That was one of them.
And he knew it. The 11th time he has struck out in the series. He adds to that record he wants no part of. 7, 8, 9 due for the Dodgers here in the 6th. And Kike Hernandez with a swing and a miss against Jacob Degrom.
During the regular season, Degrom's ERA in a shutdown inning was 1.72, but he was given the lead in the first inning tonight in the post and gave 2 back.
On the ground to second, Murphy. 1 down. This has been, as you look at Chris Hatcher warming up for the Dodgers, this has been nothing like the dominating Degrom we saw in Game 1. But it has been a very tough Jacob Degrom, pitching in and out of trouble and allowing just those 2 first-inning runs.
Well, it's a gutsy Degrom, I'll tell you that. It's not real measurement of any pitcher. When you have your great stuff and you cruise through a lineup, you don't judge a pitcher. You judge when he doesn't have his best stuff, how he stays in there, keeps his team in the game. Now he's got a lead.
Here's Jock Peterson. Takes a strike.
He's really found that curveball. He's throwing it for strikes. He's getting people out in front of it. Dropped his changeup in. Even though he has that stuff with the upper 90s fastball, it's his secondary pitches that are keeping him in. There's another changeup right there.
Peterson has drawn a couple of walks tonight. Zach Greinke is in the on-deck circle. Degrom only walked 1 in 7 innings of work in the opener. He's walked 3 here tonight. Peterson twice. Big cut. Nothing to show for it. 2-2.
Curveball, 2 changeups followed up with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
But Peterson's not your typical 8th place hitter. I don't care where he's hitting. When a guy has pop and his rookie season goes deep 26 times, you always have to be careful.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Way upstairs. And the count full. Pitch number 101 is popped up. And David Wright squeezes it for out number 2.
Number 21.
So in my scorebook, that's a fly ball to 5. Even though he caught it over there around second base.
I know, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Doesn't feel right.
You have to make a little notation in your scorebook.
All right.
Well, 2 down and nobody on, and Greinke will bat here in the 6th.
There's a first pitch slider.
Greinke's only hitting because the first 2 guys made an out. If they both got on, he would have bunted.
In the air, foul territory and out of play. And the count 0-2.
Well, no one on in this inning for Degrom, but 57 of his 103 pitches tonight have been with men in scoring position. That's how hard it's been for Degrom.
That's what they call stressful pitches then, huh?
Yes, it is.
There was a time earlier in this game you had to wonder, would he get to this point? Getting to the bottom of the 6th inning. To the gap in right center field. Granderson with a long run, but he makes the play. And that is the first 1-2-3 inning for Jacob Degrom. 6 in the books. 1-run game. tonight's upcoming schedule brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Here's the way the NLCS shakes out. Game 1 will be Saturday. Still don't know where that will be, but one of the two teams you're watching tonight will host it against the Chicago Cubs. As you take a look at the schedule for that best of 7. Top half of the 7th here in Game 5. First ever series matching up teams that were no-hit twice in the regular season. Dodgers were no-hit by Mike Fiers and Jake Arrieta. Powered back by Travis d'Arnaud. And about the 3rd row behind the plate. The Mets were no-hit by Chris Heston of the Giants and then Max Scherzer late in the year. We saw Avalon and Hatcher loosening in the Dodger pen, and there is Noah Syndergaard.
So he's might have thrown a complete game down the pen.
Yes, he has.
d'Arnaud struck out in the 2nd, and it was his sacrifice fly after the hustle play by Daniel Murphy that brought the Mets second baseman home with a sacrifice fly to tie the game. Murphy later untied it with a home run. Off the end of the bat to Gonzalez with the flip to Greinke, 1 down. Official caps, hoodies, jackets, and more. Celebrate with your favorite team at the MLB.com shop.
That's almost clinical with Gonzalez and Greinke. Covering first base. He makes it look so easy. He gets over there so easy. That's a fundamental play.
Well, he makes it easy for the first baseman. He doesn't have to time it with pitchers that are slower or don't get off the mound quickly.
Three infielders on the right side against Michael Conforto, who bats with 1 down here in the 7th.
There's the shift with Turner actually playing up the middle this time.
Right back to Greinke. 2 down. The line on Greinke with his 9 strikeouts and 1 walk as he tries to wrap up the top half of the 7th inning. Right back at him and into center field. And that is going to end the night for Jacob Degrom with a runner at first and 2 down. Terry Collins will pinch hit for him with Kelly Johnson. And handshakes all around for Degrom.
Number 55, Kelly Johnson.
Gutsy performance from Degrom. Kelly Johnson has been a huge part of this team since coming over in late July. One of those great guys off the bench, and Noah Syndergaard is going to make his first relief appearance.
Rick Honeycutt will have a word with Greinke. That was guts.
Looks like he's disappointed he didn't get the swing.
57 of those 105 pitches were men in scoring position. Stress all night.
But only allows those 2 first-inning runs.
Now Flores makes an out. He's still in the game. 2 outs, a guy on first. He's not.
The veteran Kelly Johnson, who made a tour of the American League East from 12 through 14, played for everybody in that division, began this season in Atlanta. Came to the Mets with Juan Uribe in a July deal. Uribe, the former Dodger, was productive with the Mets, but then suffered a chest injury and not on the roster here in the division series. Two balls and no strikes to Kelly Johnson.
Battery mates, shaking hands, almost like, thanks for helping me get through that.
When Johnson came to the Mets, he made his debut July 25th and homered against the Dodgers in a 15-2 win. And he takes a strike, 2-1. On the ground, gloved by Kendrick, but he cannot make a play. Got some leather on it, but they're at first and second.
Right field number 3, Curtis Granderson.
Just a ball out of the reach of Howie Kendrick's backhand. Gets the glove on it, kind of sticks in the end of the glove for a second, and then falls out. No chance.
Got enough of it to keep Flores from moving to third. And Don Mattingly makes his way to the mound. Zach Greinke leads to a standing ovation. He also leaves with the Dodgers down as Luis Avalon comes out of the Dodger pen.
Attention.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
The night over for Zach Greinke. After 6 2/3, he leaves with runners at first and second. And 103 pitches in the books, and Luis Avalon takes over. He worked an inning in Game 3 when the Mets blew him out at Citi Field, struck out a couple in an inning of work.
First, Greinke opted out in his contract, might exercise that. Could have been his last start in the Dodger uniform. Avalon, who came over from the Braves, good fastball, good changeup, and breaking ball. Going up against Curtis Granderson, his 5 RBIs have all been off left-handed pitchers. Brett Anderson and J.P. Howell in Game 3.
Huge moment for the Mets trying to add on as they lead 3-2. Granderson single and scored the first Mets run. That came in the first. Grounded out in the third, flied out in the fifth.
Granderson's done a nice job all season long against left-handed pitching, using that left side of the diamond because of the shift.
Pretty nimble down there. Tom Goodwin, the first base coach, leaping out of the way.
You say you can't outrun a baseball. He almost was able to.
369 steals in his career,
including 4 of home.
Changeup is his go-to pitch for Avilan for strikeouts.
Flores and Kelly Johnson are your runners. The 1-1. Fouled off right back at the Mets dugout.
Good sinking action with that 95. Running in on Curtis Granderson.
Granderson, good hitter with 2 strikes, 6 for 10 in this series. He's behind 1 ball and 2 strikes against Avalon.
It's almost like Avilan's pitching to the shift, making sure he crowds Granderson so he can't go the other way.
One ball, 2 strikes. Here it comes. High and tight. 2-2.
I think that was a breaking ball that didn't break. Supposed to be a hard slider and backed up on him.
I was thinking the same thing until I saw the 93.
In the air to left. Hernandez back. And he's got it at the edge of the track. The Mets chase Greinke, but do not score. Time to stretch in L.A. middle of the 7th here at Dodger Stadium. Let's go inside the booth, presented by Esurance, proud partner of Major League Baseball. Ernie Johnson, Ron Darling, Cal Ripken, Noah Syndergaard. He hasn't done this. He's coming out of the pen in Game 5.
You know what's interesting? We went and talked to Terry Collins before the game. The first question he asked, do you think Noah Syndergaard could go in the bullpen and pitch tonight? I said it's a difficult thing to ask someone who's never done it before. Not only is he doing it, but he's warmed up 3 different times before coming in this game. And watching him warm up now, he's been pitching out of the stretch. He's going to pitch out of the stretch to start the inning.
From a hitter's perspective, it would make me feel a little uncomfortable. You're used to facing different guys out of the pen, and all of a sudden, now you're facing the starter and a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Let me take that back. He went back to the windup, but most of his pitches were in the stretch in between innings.
He's facing the top of the Dodger order. And threw a strike at 100 to Howie Kendrick, who bounces this one right back to Syndergaard. 1 down. So Syndergaard on to pitch. Juan Lagares, who won a Gold Glove last year, is into center field, and Cespedes, who started in center, moves to left. Here's Corey Seager. Not only does he have 100, he's got 84.
Nice hook right there. Seager was cheating a little bit, looking for the 100, trying to get the bat head out on it.
He went off speed, breaking pitch again. 0-2.
Just so difficult if you're a hitter. You're looking for 100 plus, and you get 2 breaking balls.
He said if you were looking for that, here it is, 100, but he missed. Jonathan Neese is the left-hander. Tyler Clippard the righty. And Chris Hatcher. He's had a good series. Getting loose in the Dodger pen. He blows away Seager at 99 for the second out.
Number 23,
Look at the upcoming postseason schedule. Fox has the Blue Jays and Royals tomorrow night. FS1's got them on Saturday afternoon. They got Game 1 of the National League Championship Series on Saturday night here on TBS. Well, here's Adrian Gonzalez. With 2 down, nobody on in the bottom half of the 7th.
So the Mets have spent an entire summer trying to take care of their young pitchers, give them time off to rest. They've gotten in this winner-take-all game completely unfettered. Go get them, kids.
Anxious moments on both sides in a decisive Game 5, and that missed. 2-1.
Well, Noah's coming out, mixing in some breaking balls with his 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Yeah, power arms play. Power arms play in the starting rotation. They particularly play well out of the bullpen.
That's that 2-seamer he learned early in the season from Dan Worthen. Ball starts on the outside corner, ends up 6 inches away. There's Danny.
Checked his swing.
It makes you get jumpy. You realize you got to get out there. You got to be able to hit it. You saw Corey Seager try to go out there and was fooled by the breaking ball. You don't want to be jumpy as a hitter. But velocity makes you a little bit jumpy.
The tying run is on. here in the 7th. And here is Justin Turner. The Mets have not been able to deal with him, not only in Game 5, but most of this series. Single and a couple of doubles. And he bats with Gonzalez at first and 2 out in the 7th. Well, this is a new situation for Syndergaard. This season did pitch a little relief in A-ball back in 2012.
There's nothing about this situation that smells anything like A-ball.
Turner had a pretty good swing at that first fastball.
He's behind 0-2.
Fouls that one straight back, and sometimes for a pitcher that's hard to read. Was he on it? Was he a little bit late? Looked to me like he was a little bit late on that fastball.
With his 3 for 3 tonight, he's 10 for 18 in the series. And he's knocked in one of the 2 Dodger runs in this one. They both came in the first. Gonzalez with a lead at first. Syndergaard with the 0-2. Turner battles him.
Turner hit that one out of Darno's glove. That's what happens when you face 100.
Then in the back of your mind, you know he's got that hook too. You got to cover all the pitches with 2 strikes. Here comes the curveball.
And he got him. Noah Syndergaard coming out of the pen. Strikes out 2. The Mets maintain the 3-2 lead. 2015 National League Division Series coverage on TBS is presented by T-Mobile. So glad you're with us tonight here on TBS. Game 5. Mets and Dodgers. We move to the 8th in a 1-run game. Chris Hatcher has come out of the Dodger bullpen. He's their 3rd pitcher of the night.
Well, Hatcher has been great in this series. A former catcher turned pitcher, hard thrower, but good changeup and breaking ball also. He'll use all 3.
He will face David Wright to lead it off in the 8th. Soft liner right to Howie Kendrick. 1 down. Now here is Daniel Murphy. And this is what he did in the 6th inning to break a 2-2 tie. But it was his double in the 1st that got the Mets on the board. And it was heads-up base running in the 4th that led to the 2nd run that tied the game after the Dodgers had taken a 2-1 lead.
What a graphic there. No one ever in the postseason has hit for the cycle. Murphy, a triple away.
The 0-1. Count even.
David Wright made it out in the first pitch. I think Murph went up there thinking he had to take a strike. Back even in the count, 1-1.
On the ground to second. Kendrick throws him out. So, you know, he sort of hit for the cycle tonight. It was originally a triple. Then it was changed to a double and an error. Here with his single and his home run.
So could he get a triple and a double in the same play?
I was just kidding, Iron.
All right.
Here's Cespedes. 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts.
Greinke handled him really well tonight. He's been chasing the low breaking ball. When he needed to strike out with the guy on 3rd, he went upstairs with a fastball.
Jeurys Familia is the Mets closer.
Think they're going to bring him in for a full inning, full 6-out save.
What do you do right there, Ronnie? It was an impressive inning for Syndergaard.
Boy, it's hard to take him out, isn't it? After that
really
inning,
tempted. Yeah, send him back out there. If he gets in trouble, you have Familia to bail him out. But you got a chance of him having a really good 8th inning as well.
maybe warming up the 3 times is keeping him, precluding him from pitching the 8th.
What do you think, Ronnie? Is he still in the game?
Boy, it's usually pitchers, if they're still in the game, are sitting down in between innings.
It looks like his posture is, he's been told he's out of the game.
Hatcher took a while. Cespedes stepped out. As we await a 1-2 pitch with 2 out here in the 8th.
The 2 out, Cespedes trying to do one thing. Hit this ball out of the ballpark.
He's done it 6 times with this count. That stayed upstairs, 2-2. Mets fans counting outs right now. 6 outs away. Cespedes goes down swinging. And we head to the middle of the 8th. Game 5. 3-2 New York. Stay tuned after the game for the postseason show on TBS, presented by the Lincoln Motor Company. Bottom half of the 8th inning. Dodgers down 1. The Mets turn to their closer here in the 8th, and he's been untouchable in this series, Ronnie.
He's gotten 10 outs in this series. He's given up no hits. He's asked to get 16 now. Go 2 innings for a 6-out save. Never been asked that before his entire career.
4-out saves, he's had 3. 5-out saves, he's had 3. We've already seen a Mets pitcher go into uncharted territory, and Syndergaard coming out of the New York pen. And here's Familia. Right back to him. 1 down.
Cal, that's one of the parts of the game that's kind of changed a little from our day. If you're down a run and you were leading off an inning, you probably take a pitch because you need a base runner. But Ethier figuring that Familia is so tough, you can't give up a strike.
Yeah, unless you're a power guy.
Yeah.
You can tie the game with 1 swing of the bat. Ethier can, and you know when you're facing a closer, you don't want to give him that first pitch. Normally that's the best pitch that you're going to get to hit.
Here's Carl Crawford, who started the first 3 games of this series, but has gone just 1 for 11 at the plate. He pinch hits for Grandal, and he takes outside 1-0.
I would think from a pitcher's perspective, you get that out, that quick, easy out right back to you. Not a lot of stress on the first pitch.
A ball and a strike. Kenley Jansen loosening in the Dodger pen.
Well, that's what the playoffs are all about, extending your roles. The closer is not just 3 outs anymore, he's 6.
To left. Cespedes tracks it down.
Well, good swing by Crawford there. A little more speed in left field. Seems like Cespedes was frozen as soon as that ball came to him. But he had enough speed and guile to react and make that play.
So Jimmy Rollins has a bat. And he would pinch hit for Kike Hernandez.
Number 11, Jimmy Rollins.
Well, because of what has happened in this series, you really can't envision this game ending without Rollins and Utley getting in a bat at some point in this game. Rollins is first.
Familia has retired the first 2 here in the 8th on 4 pitches. And he throws a strike to Rollins.
97 miles an hour with nasty sink on it from Familia.
Rollins has played in 3 games of this series, 1 start. 1 for 6 at the plate with a couple of strikeouts. And he's 0 for 5 in his career against Familia.
With those 5 at bats, he's also got 3 walks. And the walk and the stolen base plays.
The 2-1. That missed. 3 balls and a strike. Jock Peterson waiting on deck. Rollins trying to reach, get the tying run aboard here in the 8th. To first. Nice play, Duda. He's going to take it himself. And that is a 1-2-3 inning for Familia. The New York Mets, 3 outs away from the NLCS. We'll be back.
Can't.
Just Crawford hitting that spot.
Let's take a look at tonight's forecast presented by FanDuel. Home field advantage for Game 5? Not exactly.
Shocking number.
And the home-standing Dodgers trail as we go to the 9th.
Well, both sides are being asked to do things they haven't been doing before. Kenley Jansen would never in the regular season come in a game where the Dodgers are losing by a run, but they've got to keep the Mets at a 1-run deficit.
Carl Crawford, who pinch hit in the 8th, stays in the game in left, replacing Kike Hernandez. And Kenley Jansen throws a strike to Lucas Duda. A.J. Ellis is the new catcher after Grandal was pinch hit for in the 8th.
Boy, I'd be tempted if I was Duda struggling this bad to bunt for a base hit. Too late now.
We saw Jock Peterson square around with 2 strikes.
2 different players.
Two strikeouts and a walk for Duda. Goes 2 for 17 in this series. An uneasy feeling here in Chavez Ravine. Dodgers down 1. Mets hoping to add on here in the 9th. Popped him up. Seager, the only Dodger on that side of the infield, squeezes it for the first out. Well, the anticipation over in that New York dugout.
Everyone on the top railing, and on the other side, some dejection.
Here's d'Arnaud. Breaking pitch stayed high. It was d'Arnaud who hit the sacrifice fly in the 4th inning that scored Daniel Murphy. It was a huge moment in this game, folks, because Murphy, with a heads-up play while a base runner at first, went first to third on Duda's walk when nobody covered third. Fouled off in front of the dugout. Gonzalez, 2 out. So Murphy went first to third on the walk, then scored on the d'Arnaud sacrifice fly that tied the game at 2, and Murphy later homered with nobody on to break the tie. That came in the 6th, and now we're in the 9th. And Juan Lagares will bat for the first time tonight. In 2006, Mets beat the Dodgers 3-game sweep. This one going the distance. And they lead by 1 in the 9th. Lagares waiting on a 1-0 from Kenley Jansen. That's over, a ball and a strike.
Coming into this series, a lot of the talk was facing Kershaw and Greinke twice in the series. It might be facing Degrom and Syndergaard twice might be the difference.
Just inside, 2-1. In the Dodger 9th, Jock Peterson, the number 8 hitter, in the pitcher's spot. The top of the order. 2-2.
Two good high strikes. Garris thought he was trying to get him to bring it down.
While Peterson will lead off, A.J. Ellis in the pitcher's spot would hit second in the ninth, and then Kendrick at the top of the order. Magic Johnson. One guy who will always hold out hope no matter what the situation. On the ground, that is a fair ball. That's going to be extra bases for Lagares. He stands at second with 2 outs here in the ninth.
First out of 4, Wright.
The ball right over the bag. Not much of a chance. Hit really hard. Karem's off of here. No chance to stop the double. He got one down where he could handle it. He didn't want to swing at the high strikes. Let me get one down where I can get the barrel to it.
He's just let A.J. Ellis is going out to tell Jensen, hey, listen, Flores is up, but Familia, the closer, is on deck. What the Dodgers would do right here is just walk him and face Familia. Relievers never get any at-bats during the season, and they are going to do that.
Yep. No sense in risking, because sometimes you say, let's pitch around him. Let's not give him something to hit, take a chance at it. But here it's pretty clear. Put him on, pitch to the pitcher. And Familia doesn't have an opportunity to get too many at-bats in his role.
No scouting report on Familia, so we won't bother giving you one.
That ball's a little close to home plate.
So they're at first and second.
Pitcher number 27, Joyce Familia.
Familia has not been to the plate in 15, 2 for 4 in his career. He probably dreamed going into this game of getting the last out at Dodger Stadium in Game 5. This is probably not part of the dream, but he's at the plate. 2 on, 2 out.
Well, he swings like he throws. Hard.
Closer versus closer in this matchup in the ninth. And the count even, a ball and a strike. Duda and Darno popped out to start the inning. Lagares with a double. Flores intentionally walked. He struck him out. We head to the bottom half of the ninth inning. The Dodgers need 1 to tie, 2 to win. The 2015 National League Division Series coverage on TBS is presented by T-Mobile. We head to the bottom half of the 9th inning. It's Game 5, and the Mets lead it 3-2. We haven't seen Chase Utley since Game 2. He was the focal point of this series after the collision that broke the leg of Ruben Tejada. He was suspended for 2 games, appealed it. The appeal won't be heard till Monday. He didn't play in games 3 or 4 in New York. He pinch hits here in the bottom of the 9th with the Dodgers down 1. He's 3 out of his last 3 against Familia. And there's strike 1. A ball and a strike. The Utley chant here, not exactly the same tone as it was said in New York. In the air, toward the line, and out of play.
A ball and 2 strikes. Saw Familia there, quick pitch Utley. He will do that occasionally. Familia started this season as the setup man for Henry Mejia, who was then suspended and the job became Familia's. He has run with it.
In the air to right field. Curtis Granderson, 1 down.
Starts him out with a good hard sinker, 97, just missed inside. Quick pitched him, which surprised Utley, and then came back with a split finger. That one was hanging in the middle of the plate, hit right on the nose by Utley, put the first out.
It's always a battle. If you're behind, you get that first runner on, it changes everything. If you're pitching and you get that first out, puts you in the driver's seat.
Here's A.J. Ellis. His first at bat of the night. After Grandal was the starter and was pinch hit for. He's got the Dodger franchise record with a 12-game postseason hitting streak, and they need one here. 1-1.
Familia lives on the bottom of that strike zone.
One ball, 2 strikes.
You got to be ready if you're Ellis here. It might be a quick pitch might come in play.
The last Mets pitcher with a postseason save of at least 2 innings, Jesse Orosco back in '86. Familia trying to get that done here in Game 5 of the NLDS. It's 2-2. Howie Kendrick waiting on deck. Strike 3 to Ellis, and the Mets are an out away.
Nasty slider from Familia. It was only for the World Series win by J.O. Jesse Orosco.
Kendrick is 0 for 4. Reached on an error in the second.
Made up his mind he was going to sit on that fastball. The slider in the dirt, he was already committed.
There is strike away. Familia to the plate, and he struck him out. And the New York Mets have won the series. And they will meet the Chicago Cubs in the National League Championship Series. The Mets come to LA and beat the Dodgers to win the series.
You thought that the Dodgers, after Clayton Kershaw won Game 4, got the ball back to Zach Greinke in Game 5 here at Chavez Ravine. They were set up perfectly, but Daniel Murphy made sure that did not happen. Jacob Degrom with 6 gutsy innings. Syndergaard pitching in relief for the first time in the major leagues.
And Familia coming in for 6 big outs.
Whoa.
And there is Terry Collins.
Sportsmanship here. Like to see it.
Oh, that's a great moment right there. Mattingly and Collins.
1,688 games managed. Never been to the postseason.
And here now the totals for tonight's game.
Terry Collins lost his father, Bud, at 95 this year. Said he thought about him on the day the Mets clinched the division. And I'm sure it's been in his mind now, too, as they advance to the National League Championship Series.
Had to be a time in Terry Collins' life when he felt like he would never get to the postseason. He'd never get another job managing. He's managed some Mets teams that have been awful the last few years.
He was asked the other day about the sense of urgency to win the series. He said, yeah, there's a sense of urgency. I'm 66.
Jeurys Familia retired all 16 batters he faced in this series.
Let's go down to Sam Ryan. Sammy.
Terry, your first time here to the postseason, now to the NLCS. You knew this would be a hard-fought one. Tensions were high from the beginning of this one. What can you say about the fight in this team?
Tremendous fight, Sam. You know, you've heard it all along. We have a tough game. Something doesn't go right, and then we bounce back. We've done it all year long, and tremendous heart. I mean, there's nothing else to say. These guys we got some young guys and some veteran guys. They've meshed together, and it's been a blast.
On a night when Jacob doesn't have his best stuff, but would get those hard-fought outs for you, what can you say about his heart?
Well, he's going to be great. I'm telling you, he's going to be a great pitcher. You know, the nights you don't have your best stuff and you can still go out and pitch like that and work and be in trouble pretty much the whole game. But that big guy out of that bullpen was pretty impressive, too, I'll tell you.
Noah Syndergaard, and I know you were going over the lineup and questioning yourself going into this one. How much pride do you have for yourself right now in the job that you did?
Sam, it's played by those guys. It's played by the players. And you know what? It's just an honor to be around them. And I try to stay out of the way as best I can.
Congratulations. Enjoy this.
Much. Thank you so much.
Guys.
Wow, what a night for the Mets, who allowed those 2 runs in the first inning to the Dodgers to erase a 1-0 lead, but then the Dodgers go 0 for their last 11 with runners in scoring position. They had opportunities but could not cash in. You see some Mets fans who are here. They are shouting at their heroes as they come off the field. Worth the trip. And look at Terry Collins.
You know, he was humble saying that it's the players, but he's showed good leadership and bringing in Syndergaard from the bullpen was a gutsy move, having never done it before, and it was the right bridge to get the Familia.
Daniel Murphy, what a night he had, and he's with Sam.
Daniel, before the game we were talking, you were calm. You said a lot of people were nervous.
Holy Spirit, that was Jesus. That's the only thing that kept me calm.
But you kept going from the first, getting Granderson in, and then the stolen base in the fourth and the home run. Tell me the thought process on the stolen base.
You know, Lucas really works a great AB because, you know, Zach right there, 3-1, 3-2, he can go in so many different places. And to win that right there, you know, here at first, and I'm just trying to casually walk into second and hoping that nobody called time, because I look like an idiot if somebody calls time, and I run to third, and it just happened to, you know, I saw it, and I'm not sure who was supposed to cover it, but there was nobody there, and I'm not the fleetest of foot, but just fast enough for that one.
Greinke was pitching his heart out tonight.
He threw the ball really well.
You connected on the home run. What'd you see there?
Man, we went back and forth that whole at bat. You know, he threw the ball so well. He's got such a great changeup. He locates so well, and you know, I get 3-2 right there, and I finally get a heater kind of in the zone I've been looking in all night. It was the middle in, and you know, I'm able to keep it fair. What a job Jacob Degrom did tonight. You know, that first inning they put 2 on him, and it definitely could have got away from him. He goes 6, gives it over to Syndergaard, who was throwing 1,000, it felt like, and then Urias goes 6-out save in 20 pitches. What a team win. I feel like everybody got a piece of this one.
First time Noah out of the bullpen. Familia's been doing it for you all year. You can exhale. You're going to the NLCS. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is fun. This is fun. I want to go party with you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Sam. Daniel Murphy jumping for joy on his way back to the dugout, and he sees those Mets fans. They're going to take on the Cubs. It'll be the first time they've ever met in the postseason.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the Dodgers' great season, good team, great players. This is just a cruel game. Zach Greinke, first time all season, he's given up a lead.
Final score, Mets 3, Dodgers 2. For Ron Darling, Cal Ripken, Sam Ryan, and the rest of the crew, this is Ernie Johnson saying good night from Los Angeles. TBS is your home for the National League postseason. Following a quick break, stay tuned for the postseason show on TBS presented by the Lincoln Motor Company. It'll be the Cubs and the Mets. Game 1, Citi Field, Saturday. Be there.